you can come in the initial stages or even in critical conditions, because we have the capacity even to open the lungs when they are already impacted with mucus, or when the lungs are crumbled. We use a simple method. For example, I get a cup of this, I put a hot liquid, and then in the liquid I put there are some of those plant parts that have extracted into oils. They are purely clear oils. Then we drop them into this hot water. I pick a handkerchief and then I just fold it and put it over this cup, and then I put it in the mouth wide open. To start with, Alex Victor Biomark Tugume Twizukye. I belong to a portion of a population that is aggregated at Advanced International University, based there as one, a researcher, and two, a lecturer. We also belong to an aggregation that is called NACOSA, that is National Council of Traditional Healers and Herbalist Associations of Uganda. The acting chairman, national chairman for that organization. Here where you find us is called the Green Gold Organic Options and Natural Remedies Chitende Center. Basically, we are a group of researchers, self-perpetuating researchers, doing a lot around and about to make sure we save this nation of any threat of, say, serial pandemics that are faced with this country. The head, the proprietor of this center, and I've been working on a number of things. Running from both training and therapies, diagnosis, and whatever. Actually, when we talk of all complementary and alternative therapies, or home therapies, or traditional therapies, this is what we mean. At a time when I was still very young, I used to cohabit with my grandmother, Nyamshana. And now this grandmother used to receive all of us, especially during holiday times. And when we were about 17 at her place, we would rise up in the morning, then move around, pick jackfruit, pick mangoes, pick sugarcane, and then food at home. And then around the time when we were at home, we were waiting for meals. Somebody would pass, my mother would pass her finger in front of her nose like this and say, "Who has passed this gas?" Then he says, he disperses all of us and says, "Go to that place, there is a osmam, and go to another place." And she used to call it omujaja and echisubi, omtete. Pick them, bring them here, start chewing. This old woman was sorting out what we call indigestion without knowing the name. And she actually didn't know that what she had sent us for was Osmum suave, like we call it in botany, or Symbopogon citratus. She didn't know the phytochemicals that were there, but she virtually knew that she had information passed on from her great-grandparents that what she has given us, that combination can sort out what she has smelt. So this is basically what we call traditional medicine. So it is this traditional medicine that is metamorphosing now into what we want to attach to the medical therapies we have, and we call it complementary and alternative medicine.
So for how long have you been doing this?
For good 7 years now. Formerly, I happen to also be a civil engineer and a teacher, and then a naturopathic doctor. So formerly I was doing engineering, So in one of my field works, I happened to find people that far away from here that were involved in this kind of therapy, and was doing a lot of it, a lot of effect, and they were calling it as they were referring to it as a home remedy. So when I came back, I found people were mismanaging it, kind of people who are masquerading as traditional doctors, and I felt it a duty upon my mighty shoulders to put my hands on ground and get fully involved in it. So we have been handling disorders without discriminating any of them, because basically whatever exists as a disorder has got a solution, but people simply don't know. That's why we, in the other medicine system, we talk of malignancy to mean will not heal. But in this alternative medicine, everything has solution. You see, our bodies are housings for many metabolic processes. When we eat food, we are aiming at generating energy. But like any factory, when you want to generate anything, there are also what they call byproducts. Those impurities, unwanted impurities, that some of them get harbored into our bodies to generate other dangers, like accumulation of uric acid that will generate rheumatoid disease that is normally common around aging people, that people will find either inflamed or painful joints. That is one. And there is another issue that is concerned with, that is actually a neuralgia. Neuralgia is a disorder of the nervous system. The nervous system is the body's electricity system. So it ranges with, beginning with the brain, that is the central nervous system. So we sort out disorders of the brain. They are, when it is around the neural tube, then it is a neck pain, it is a meningitis. When it is around the phrenic nerves in the interior of the chest, then we are going to call it an internal chest pain. And sometimes we call it a disorder of the heart, when somebody feels the pain around the heart, by a burning sensation, a stabbing interior pain, and then people think it is a disorder with the heart when it is a phrenic neuralgia. It also masquerades as an ulcer when somebody feels a burning sensation around here, but you remember behind the sternum there is a vagus nerve. So when somebody has a vagus neuralgia, you will interpret it for an ulcer and then take different therapy. And you know, the habit here is going over the counter and you mention what you think you are suffering from, and somebody just gives out. So we found it a matter of sense to introduce an issue, an ingredient of diagnosing the patients so that we have to give therapies. So this is part of what we give. And there is some other common, that is sexual debility, which is a neuralgia around the sex, our sex organs, apices of pubis, that is pubic nerve. So a pain around there is normally misinterpreted for something else, and you find people are giving different therapies. There are others that are normal around the lower back pain, or a paralysis around the leg. So somebody gets a paralysis, but it is a sciatica, it is a pain along the sciatic nerve, and somebody takes it for paralysis that is a disorder of the circulatory system. Yeah, at a university where we converge with this group of doctors, we take physiology and anatomy of a human being. Then we take pharmacognosy of plants. We relate plants with human beings, for example, and then we are able to discover in that same hospital. You look at this book, for example, When you look at this one is a plant and this one is a human being. So the two are related. There are so many marvels of creation that maybe our religions, all our ecumenical organizations never disclose well, that God had meant when he was creating us. Like there is a language in the wilderness that is never understood by people, including even those who claim to be giving therapies to people. So in that university where we are, we make sure we take students. The students who go there, by the time they leave, they are versed with everything. You look at this impression, for example. There is this is a uterus. When you look at this relative plant, you can see that this is a shape of a uterus, then a fallopian tube and an ovary. So it means this plant can yes, it settles these disorders of this ovary. When you look at this dog and you look at this plant, you see they have the same canines on this plant. So when you have a dog bite, all the plants that have this kind of canine can cure it. When you look at this is a brain and this is a walnut. This one cures the disorders of the brain. When you look at this one is our heart, and when you look at this plant, it has the shape of the heart at the base, which is magnified here. And this, incidentally, this is a lemon leaf. So the lemon cures the disorders of the plant. When you look at this eye and the shape of this and the shades, when you have you are beginning to lose sight, this common clover can be a solution. Now, most of these plants which you have here have inscriptions on them put by God, but the systems of education we have never took us that deep. So we have keys that cannot open our life. So that's why we felt we must come together, train each other, and come up with the solutions, like in the case of this catastrophe. It was a little bit tricky. I have a colleague beside me. He's called Dr. Sukak Ali. We met at a training institution. Then somewhere we became very intimate accomplices. Now, in the other wave, the first wave, he tells me on phone that he is moving around so that he can get infected and get acclimatized with the nature of the disease. Now in military science, there is something we call reconnoiter. Reconnoiter actually means assessing or inspecting the site of a problem. Like, let me say, there is a war somewhere. You have had shots overnight in a place which you cannot access. You send there two people. That one is a lady, another one is a gentleman. One has say a band of sugar cane, another one has a pot of water. To go past that place and discover the nature of people and their aggressiveness and the kind of arms they have, to be able to assess the size of the aggression, then and the people that could be behind it, and maybe their capacity and the attitude. If you send there a lady and by the time she comes back she says they have been raped, then you discover the nature of the people you are going to approach. So we call it reconnoitering. Like in this case, when this colleague of mine told me he was going to look for a place where I can get infected, in the first place I thought, is this friend of mine mad? What is the matter? I was still timid about it. Now in the second wave,
is it something you usually do in the medical?
In medicine, yes. You have to discover. You have, yeah. Actually, all those disorders where we are senior, we have had them ourselves in the bodies. Then we have seen how they affect the bodies, and then we have been able to design solutions of overcoming them. Then I thought in this second wave that keeping on the run away from something that I don't know what it looks like or what it affects people will not sort our problems. One, it might overwhelm me and take me. Then I decided to, you know what we call plunge, to throw myself into the problem. And then I discover what it is like. Then that's what I did. So I made discoveries that I looked at the characteristics of the infection. I found a lot of mucus, for example. Now, whenever
you also went through what you went
yes, he did it in the first wave. I did it in the second wave. So what my discoveries were, this infection is characterized with mucus, a lot of mucus. You know what we call mucus? Then when it is an impacted mucus, then we call it catara or phlegm. Then when it goes another stage, when you cannot break it apart, we call it slime. Slime is that nature of mucus that the snail leaves behind when it rolls. Then I picked the snail and put it in a bottle. I added some water and I added salt. Scientifically, I knew what sodium chloride does. I found it would break apart the slime. Then I said, I'm going to discover medicine for this. So, and the other case, when I saw mucus, I understand when you are seated like here and you see a toad moving around, hopping about in broad daylight, you understand that something is the matter where it has been hiding. Maybe there is an invasion of red ants. Then when I see mucus, like in this case with the patients, I begin to discover something is wrong with the brain, because the brain is what the mucous membrane that dresses the brain is what generates mucus. Then I know that as part of my therapies, we are going to have like rosemary, for example, that has the capacity to nourish and course through the brain cells. Then I say that is one. Then I know that when somebody coughs and I can see somebody coughing blood, there are wounds inside. I look for a plant antibiotic. It will be a lemongrass, a Cymbopogon citratus. Then when we are dealing with the brain again, I look at the seed of what I was showing you in the book is called in Greece Simidia simidibus or Contraria contraris, to mean like treats like and same treats same. So when we look at the plant, we know
treats like
and same treats same. So when you look at the seed of cypress, this one we are using for fencing of colonial ecumenical centers, you see a seed that looks exactly and has lobes like those of the lobes of the brain. Then you know that we do something to the brain. Then we look at mucus, we look at the brain, then we look at the virus itself. The virus is something with life. Then we look at antiviral plants. Then we list a number of them. So when we brought the decoction together, he was doing some work somewhere away. I was doing another one, and we were sharing experience. Yes, we have a number of others. We are an aggregation of, I think we are about 2 million now, scattered all over the country. And people may not know why the COVID catastrophe is diminishing, but it is diminishing because people are on ground doing research. I wish everybody had the feeling, the spirit to resort to the African solutions. Then we shall call the
number in Africa or even outside?
In Uganda, not in Africa.
2
We
million?
are around 2 million. Yeah.
In Uganda?
He's the country administrator. I am the acting chairman. We have a secretary general. So we have these people registered. Yes. Who are researchers who are on ground doing this practically. I think they could be the reason why the catastrophe is diminishing. And we have a lot of hopes. Yes. The only problem is those people that in the pretext of modernity are clinging to faraway diaspora solutions. Yes. Even when we are not sharing information from what we have shared in our training bases, You see what, for example, like what Dr. Professor Gwanga came out with, we completely agreed with it because of the ingredients. The good thing about him is he has our spirit that he could not hide what he's doing around, what he's using. So when we looked at the ingredients, we completely agreed with it.
Okay. So ever since you started, how has been the journey in as far as treating?
Like in this place, I've been here for good 9 months. It was formerly a school that was disorganized by COVID. Then we had to bring our services here. We were another place in Entebbe where the lake submerged the environment in which we were operating, and we have made to shift to this place. We have so far brought up about 82 recoveries of this pandemic, for example. Okay. Yes.
Oh, those 82 recoveries,
yes.
Where do they come from? In what conditions are they?
Some of them were already on oxygen. Some of them absconded from hospitals in ICUs, and others were still in preliminary stages. There are some of them from this very environment, and a majority of them from Entebbe, where we came from. Some of them government staff. Our operation space is from grass to grace. You can come in the initial stages or even in critical conditions, because we have the capacity even to open the lungs when they are already impacted with mucus, or when the lungs are crumbled. We use a simple method. For example, I get a cup of this, I put a hot liquid, and then in the liquid I put there are some of those plant parts that have extracted into oils. They are purely clear oils. Then we drop them into this hot water. I pick a handkerchief, and then I just fold it and put it over this cup, and then I put it in the mouth wide open. When I do inhalation, of course, when I open my mouth, even the trachea opens. Then I take this vapor deep inside. So when I do, and then I close my mouth and let it go out through my nose, I have done gaseous exchange. That means the ingredient I've taken in form of vapor is able to pass through the alveoli and then come out through the sinus cavities. If there is anything, if I have put a virucidal ingredient of a plant, it will just kill and flush out to the... And then the mucus comes out directly.
Okay. So,
yes.
Isn't it?
You see, steaming is the wrong and difficult way people have been doing it. That you have to
when you steam, then
you have to get plenty of water, and then get something to cover yourself. Then you're going to heat yourself as you inhale. It works, yes, but it is very tiresome. And you have seen some people whose skin is either peeling or discoloring because of this. And you find, because of the difficulty in doing that, you find people cannot regularly do it. But this method, for example, I can do it like 3 times a day, and I'm so sure I'm safe. Because here we do around 4 things. One, we give attention, because one of the things we discovered, by the time somebody spends like a week with COVID, the entire abdomen is impacted with mucus. So we do digestive tract cleansing. We flush out all the mucus, and then the trunk is healthy again and is able to absorb other medicine. Then we have got another sample that is for drinking. The drinking will cleanse the infection on the throat and even in the digestive tract. Then we have an inhaler. Then we have a throat steam. Then we have nose drops. those kinds of things. So it depends on the kind of patient that visits us, that we choose which approach to use, depending on whom you treat. Because when you fall infected, you don't first have to agree with the money that you have to receive. So there are cases when people come when they are completely blocked. They either didn't have money initially, or they have moved around and spent all their pockets out. So it is normally somebody that is alive that will have money. So you do this you give a therapy to somebody because you are sure that this person is going to benefit from it, and you wait for when he will pay. We have not found problems with the people deviating from paying us.
Someone has come, is ailing, and then you first deposit some 5 million shillings there, and then the person. That
one is a straight indicator that somebody who is going to do the therapy is not sure of what he's going to do. Because why would there be the doubt? Well, in a place where we have converged with these doctors, all the people who come from there don't need to ask you for money in order to give you their therapies. They just give you, then you go and look for the money sometimes when you don't have. Yeah. And we have found that at times people give more than we would have asked initially. After someone has recovered, the range would have been between 10,000 to 200,000, depending on the gravity of the ailing patient, because this matches directly with the amount of medicine that this person is going to consume, and the staff that is going to attend to this person. Of course, in the initial stages, it is like any war. If you have a rumor of a war, and you go, you move around in a very short time, and you arrest the fugitives, you are done away with the war. If this war has taken some spare of time, and the warriors have been able even to talk to the populace, to give them their principles, then it becomes difficult. So the initial stages are even very, very easy for us to manage. Yeah. Precautions have been spelled out very, very well by the president of this country. I just want to salute him, because many coward leaders would have run away from this situation. But he's a person who comes out and stands in front of something he never looked at with his eyes and says, I'm going to do ABCD to defend the country, like he has defended it before. And we give a credit also to the Ministry of Health for the guidelines they gave. It has actually helped. If somebody stuck to those guidelines spelled out by both the government and the Ministry of Health, it can do a great deal in saving in the preventive approach, which is best. Because the preventive is needed even when you have recovered from one wave to another. Rumor has it that we are going to have a series of 36 waves, yes. So I think, yes, just what we know this way is they will all be viral, and they are capable of dying. I wouldn't want to throw my word over vaccination, because I normally want to discuss something that I'm very well versed with. Like that is an area where I'm not versed about vaccination. I'm doing some groundwork. Maybe in the future I will have something to share, but at the moment I wouldn't like to share anything about vaccination.
So you have not been vaccinated?
I have been vaccinated. Government has not moved an inch in helping us. It looks as if you have like 2 wives, and you are managing the second wife through the first wife, then you are at mess. Because we are supposed to, for example, have land put aside. What I've been showing you are extracts of, like when you look at this clear extract is made from a plant. So we have been trying to modify the products of plants. But the plants themselves we are using, we are trying to bring around seemingly extinct species. We have lost many species of plants in the pretext of modernity, especially when people were moving around making modern farms. We are trying to bring around, say, a species of a cattle that can be a vehicle for diseases, and before that we have to destroy the plants that would have made medicine to those species. Now we are supposed to have, for example, chunks of land in almost in every sub-county where species of plants are collected, and have people to manage them, and have people to teach them to the populace, and then have plants that can process them, then have funds that can be given to people who want to begin on them. If we just click that button, this country is stinking rich. We have got a jargon. We call this a green gold. When people are looking at the riches of Uganda, they are ever looking at either petroleum or these other minerals, the diamond and what. The gold is in the green, and it is what God had assigned for us. And during those colonial misappropriation, the people who designed our education tell us about the cash crops of Uganda, and they made sure we recite them in order to cram them in our heads. And there were 2 T's and 2 C's: the tea, tobacco, cotton, and coffee. When you look at a cross-section of them, they are all inedible material that you have to circumstantially sell them abroad in order to generate a very small income against it. But when you look at this is a plant. If this is a cypress, for example, a 20-liter jerrycan is about 12 million. And then we are brewing matoke, and we have waraji. Now this is waraji from a plant. When we have waraji from matoke that was showed to us, it is around 80,000. So this government has to go back to the drawing board and give attention to the natural wealth that could have been this that we are destroying, and then put aside the funds and land to conserve the species, and then learn how to extract them, and then equip the populace. Did you see when previously when we had campaigns, there was an issue of unemployed youth, unemployed women. When you go around the streets of this country at night, you find people standing like poles, because but they are not fools, but they are frustrated staff. They have not been helped by their governments, and back where they went to school, they equipped them with plastic paper keys. So government should put aside, say, a fund, and then a training provision, then a land, then machinery, and you see what is going to come out of this country. Our limit is the sky, because this is an undertaking that can absorb all Ugandans. Because these plants we are talking about were formerly assigned by God to be our source of food, our source of medicine, our source of income. So if you distribute this entire population to be distributed in a production of either food or medicine or attire, then the limit, the budgetary limit is the sky. Yes, but it needs to be started on. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tugume.
Yes, we have written a lot of project proposals, but when we try to push them, like in this case, the president is supposed to look at them, but they take too long in the pipeline. Sometimes they never reach. So maybe the president needs to ease some of the rationale by which information must flow from the grassroots to him, in my view.
For example, he's watching you right now. What are you telling the president?
The president that man that we are actually proud of. We actually think that many things must be done during his time, because I've been looking at other intending presidents that try to bench a lot on the powers in diaspora. That means that is a melancholy itself, that in the future when we have a danger and we don't have a Pan-African like him, we are going to have many things reversed. So I was appealing to him that before his time is over, he gives attention to this natural resource that we call the green gold, and he looks at people that can build it around. It will be just a twinkling of an eye, and we see how much income we can generating from what we have been classifying as weed. Yes.